and happy FAQ Friday. I'm super excited to answer all of the member questions today. Hey Instagram, what's up? There's always such a delay between the two. Anyway, so it's FAQ Friday, which means I'm answering all of the questions that the meal plan members submitted over the course of the week. And so let's get started with some of those questions. Okay, let's see what came up this week. Okay, so this is a great question, and it's one I hear all the time. Actually, I talk a whole lot about it in episode 11 of the Shortcut to Slim podcast, season 1, episode 11, which is, can you do intermittent fasting and be a runner? And this is a really hard question to answer because it depends on the runner, like physically what they are, if they're very lean already, how fast they run, what kind of intensity they run. It also depends on when you're trying to run. So just as a very basic general statement, really do listen to episode 11 for more information here. But if you are doing any kind of really high intensity sort of cardio, like running for more than 45 or 60 minutes, like really heavy paced cardio, intermittent fasting is going to be really hard for you. You can't run in your fasted state or towards the end of your fast because you're just going to deplete your glycogen and feel like poop. But if you try to do your run like after you've just eaten, like if you've eaten and it's in your feeding window, or you just had your last meal for the day and now you're going to go run, that will work. And you might have to do some really curious things with your schedule and the way you cycle your hour structure. But it is possible, but it's super hard just with any kind of high intensity. Now, if you're just lifting weights or you're doing yoga or you're hiking, it should be okay. But definitely listen to episode 11 for more information about that. Next question. I can't find black salt. Where do you find it? What does it look like? So black salt, even though it's called black salt, is actually kind of a purplish color. Let me see if I have any. Okay. Here we are. I don't know how. There's Instagram, Facebook. Can you see it? So it's kind of like purpley. It smells like bad eggs. It smells like sulfur. And yeah, it smells like sulfur. But it makes everything taste eggy. It's really great. So I found this at an Indian supermarket, but I've also seen it in like regular big grocery stores, like in the ethnic or world culture section. I haven't seen it at places like Whole Foods, but I just buy a really big bag of it on Amazon, and since it's salt, it lasts forever. I think this one, I bought it, shared it with my mom, my sister, Carly, who works at Happy River Meal Mentor, and like 5 other people, and I still have some left. So that's where you can get it. There's actually 2 blog posts on happyriver.com about black salt, because there's different kinds. There's one that's got charcoal in it. That's the wrong one. So definitely check those out, and I'll post a link. Okay, next question. When ONO, which is overnight oats, when ONO recipes call for banana to be added in the morning, why is that? It's to avoid discoloring. Bananas oxidize when they hit air, which is a fancy word for saying they turn brown. So if you don't mind brown bananas, you could add them ahead, but you know, I don't like brown bananas. So, good question. This one always comes up. Suggestions to how to replace beans in some of the Meal Mentor meals. So, I mentioned sorghum before. Sorghum, which is a grain, and any hearty grain like barley or farro, anything kind of chewy, like a chewy grain, that's going to work great. Also, like a quinoa would be fine too, or even rice if you want to cut back on beans. I really like sorghum. I feel like it's sort of an all-purpose bean replacer in recipes, not like a hummus. You can't make a hummus from that. Let me see what else. Oh, lentils, of course. Lentils are a great choice to substitute for beans. You can always do peas, like actual peas. Tofu, edamame, it depends on you and what you like, but if you can't eat a lot of beans or you're just not feeling it, like those are some really great options. Or you could just, add more vegetables. Sometimes I use mushrooms or eggplant. It really depends. Let's see, any other questions? Would you tell us how you ate most days initially to lose the weight? I know you guys don't ever like this answer, but I just followed the meal plans. I know it's not what you want to hear, but that's what I did, is I just followed the meal plans faithfully. I just really was careful about my portions, and that's how I keep the weight off, because you hear me talk, whatever I say. If you learn nothing else, it's whatever it takes to lose weight is what it takes to keep it off, so you've got to figure out a way of something that's livable. And so for me, that was the meal plans. I keep following the meal plans to keep the weight off. That's how I lost it. That's how it works. It's really just that simple. I know you guys want to hear like some magical formula and that's it. It's just, there's no workarounds. It's just eating the right foods. And someone asked about snacking in a subsequent question to this. I'm a no snacker. For me, snacking is not a good practice for me. And now the research that I've done with the Shortcut to Slim podcast, I feel really good about not snacking, so definitely check out those episodes or read them. But for me, snacking seems to not be so good if I want to lose weight or keep it off or just anything like that. So I discourage snacking, but if snacking is your thing, that's you. Everybody's got to do themselves. Let me see. Oh, this is another question that comes up all the time. Do you know why some people can lose weight on a low-fat plant-based diet without portionings and others have a hard time doing it? I talked a lot about this in season 1 of the podcast. This is a big podcast reference, FAQ. But what I have found, and this was my experience, and it's been the experience of a lot of people I've worked with privately and just talking to different members for the meal plans, is initially, like for the first 40 or less pounds, for most people it just comes off beautifully, even if you're overeating, because bean burgers still have less calories than cheese pizza. So if you switch to a plant-based diet, even if you are eating more volume, you're still having that calorie deficit because the plant foods are just so much less calories. And so that's why it works. But then it stops working. It definitely stopped working for me. And like I said, I've seen this time and time and time again with our members. In the Shortcut to Slim episode, I actually read a lot of testimonials from members that had the same story as me. And it's because that calorie deficit goes away. And the really poopy thing there is you got used to eating all of this volume, and you got used to those all-you-can-eat messages. I mean, at least I did. And then it doesn't work out. And now you're like, crap. You have to like relearn and get rid of that noise in your head. And so again, whatever it takes to lose weight is what it takes to keep it off. And I so wish that I had been more mindful and learned about portions and started eating appropriately, because it was so much harder once I lost the weight to try to maintain it and have to redo all of that like psychology and all that mindset, which is going on with season 2. And people have been asking, like, is it a behavior thing? And it could be. Portioning your meals is a great example of cognitive behavior therapy that's super helpful, but it might not be. It might be psychological, which is what this whole season 2 of the podcast is about. It's about the mindset and how you're thinking and how you talk to yourself, and that could cause overeating or not overeating or binging or not binging. And so it's so many complex factors, which is why it's so important to just keep taking steps that you can live with for life. If you can't do this forever, don't do it, because you're just going to sabotage yourself in the end. Maybe not right now, maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now, but you will. That's been my experience, not just personally, but in the research and talking to so many of our members who've been on the same journey as you. So that's just something to really kind of think about and take to heart. Let me see. I don't think there's any other questions. Oh, so someone asked about reprinting my cookbooks, and all I can tell you there is you have to actually reach out to my publisher. I have zero control. My former publisher would be the one who reprints them or changes fonts or colors or anything like that. So no control there for me, but I think that's all the questions. I'm going to pop over to Facebook just to see if any popped up live. Nope, that's not the, where we are. Oh, hi guys. Hi. Thanks for all the loves and thumbs up. I hope everyone's having an awesome Friday. I hope everyone's going to have a really great weekend. I hope everybody's safe or your family's safe. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I lived in St. Martin for a really long time, and I also wrote Everyday Happy Herbivore there. So seeing the pictures there has been very hard for me personally, and I still do have friends there. I haven't heard from them yet, but I continue to hope that they're all right. And so if anyone has any extra prayers or thoughts or positive energy or healing light that you could send, not just to St. Martin, but to everywhere, I know I would personally appreciate it, because it's I lived through Andrew in Florida, and so I'm trying not to get emotional, but it's so devastating in ways I can't even describe to other people. And my sister's actually in Florida, so I talked to her, and one of the things that really surprised me about this whole thing was even if nothing happens, like even if she's safe in terms of like there's no physical damage, like her stores have been out of food and water, the gas stations have been out of gas, like everything's just been out forever. And my sister's like, my biggest concern is that it's not going to come back, that the storm will come through and we'll all be fine, and that's amazing and wonderful and we're blessed, but then it can take weeks and weeks and weeks to finally get the food back in, the water back in, or if there's damage to some bridge or some other place or where the oil refinery is. And I never really considered how global this is. It's not just the wreckage that actually happened in these places. It really affects so many more people than you ever realize. And so for me, it's just like, that was a big mind-blowing thing. And I also had a big vegan moment yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter that I said there's a death toll with these hurricanes that no one considers, so I'm going to say it, is that when Katrina hit New Orleans, all the animals in the aquarium died there. Over like 500 different species of animals died. And it was because they set things in place. They were like, oh, we know this hurricane's coming, we're going to have generators, and all the animals died anyways. And it's just like, they didn't even have to be there. We didn't have to have them there for our entertainment. And so like, I just felt like I really needed to say that. Anyway, happy FAQ Friday. Thank you for hanging out with me, and have a great weekend. Be safe. Pray. Love. Sunlight out there. Happiness in the world. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Have a great whatever. Bye.